Hey, what's good, everyone? Welcome to another reading. I'm going to call this one Beneath. Now, you can kind of unpick that yourself to see what that means for you. I guess you can take mental note of that as well as I'm getting into the readings. You can say, like, what kind of vibe was coming to you when I said Beneath, or when you saw the title Beneath. For me, it felt a little bit like a hidden secret, kind of. When you look beneath something, there's usually some truth there, you know. It's usually something that is hidden. Beneath also gives me the energy of like earth, when we bury something and what's underneath there. I guess there sometimes is treasure when we dig for something of like nutrition, something of value. When you think about digging for gold or digging for oil or digging for like an important natural resource, you normally have to dig for it. It's not normally just laying on the surface, or it's not usually just in plain sight. I guess one could argue sometimes it is above us, like some kind of fruit in a tree. But generally, we have to dig for things of value. So unpick that for yourself before you get stuck into the reading, and just put an intention out there to see if I can kind of give you the answer to the thing that's coming to your mind. As always, we've got pile number 1, pile number 2, and pile number 3. We'll get stuck into pile number 1s. Sorry for any background noise. Pile 1s. Not in the quietest places at the moment. It is lovely, but what do you see? What do you feel? What's the vibe? Is there any words that come to your mind? Okay, yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. It's one of those ones which I could probably overdo as well, but I think that kind of nails it as a reading, so I'm gonna leave it there. I was getting the kind of the vibe of like a vortex. So vortex might mean something to you, or if it doesn't, figure out what that does mean to you. I was also getting, I didn't want to turn this into like a cheesy reading, because I could have quite easily like put a heart here. But I think it would have kind of just screwed up the whole vibe of the reading. So I think there's definitely something to do with what's lying beneath it being connected to heart or love. I was just kind of sitting on that to see if it was romance love or if it was self-love. Kind of pointing more towards self-love, if I'm honest. Because I wasn't really getting that, like in some of my readings, like there's the two people kind of dynamic. I'm kind of getting it a little bit now, actually. I could like do the silhouette of two people here. But it's like yeah, okay, so with Vortex as well, there's something coming through here which is like this. Oh, it's a different pen. This this love situation, this love vortex, it seems to be almost like man-made, So, like, to put this at, like, if you watch the introduction, I was talking about how things of value are usually found from digging deep. This almost feels like, to me, like the reverse of that. It's like you've sculpted this hole and then you've put your heart into it. It's not that you've had to dig in order to find your heart. It's like you've buried your heart, so to speak. I'm not sure if that's to protect it or to hide it. Only you can kind of pinpoint what that emotion or feeling is. But this is somewhat of like a this vortex, this hole, wasn't created to find something. It was created to hide something, to store something. And there is something quite beautiful about this reading because it's not all negative. Like, I'm not trying to throw complete like running from love at you pile ones or anything like that, because there's actually quite a beautiful thing here which I'm picking up on, which is like sometimes you have to hide your heart from the people who don't deserve it in order to dig it up again for the people who do. It reminds me a little bit of when you're running a race. Sometimes when you're in that moment, I'm not saying that we're all athletes out here running races, but everyone can kind of relate to the fact that when someone's running a race, they need to focus on the start and the end, and in between, how fast you can run to get to the end. You don't really want to be worrying about what you want for dinner, your love relationship, what you're going to do after this race. You just want to be focusing on doing the best of your ability for this race. And I feel like there's a little bit of that energy there, is that there's some part of you which has realised that when there is someone worth your heart, you'll expose that again. But in the meantime, it's a little bit of tunnel vision. It's almost like burying your heart in order for you to focus. And then you're going to reveal that heart again when the moment is right. So, pile number one's like my feedback for you would be obviously try and fall more into the option 2 over more so than the option 1, which is sometimes we can just bury things from hurt and from pain and from fear. But quite honestly, if you can embrace, and if you are embracing that energy of holding back for the people who deserve it, I think that's quite a healthy attitude, to be honest with you. And if you're someone watching this who's generally a kind person, a kind heart, which I consider myself to be, we can sometimes fall trap, and I know I have for the majority of my life, to be honest, fallen trap to giving your heart or opening your heart to someone who doesn't deserve it. And there's going to be people out there who are going to say to you, like, oh, who hurt you and stuff like this. But it's like, it's not even that who hurt me anymore. It's just that I've come to understand true value. It's not that I'm protecting myself because I'm hurt. It's because I'm protecting myself because I understand the value of that. I'm not going to have the tap water over the fresh spring water when I know the difference, or at least when I'm in the position to choose the spring water over the tap water in the city. Do you know what I'm saying? But there's a lot of people who are in the group of tap water in the city trying to say, no, open your heart up to me. I'm the best thing since sliced bread. But you know what spring water is. You know what it tastes like. And they're saying, who's hurt you? No, I'm just as good as spring water. And you're looking at them like you're not. Because I've tasted it. So there's a time to be like that. And when you are in that vibration, you just have to become better and better at holding firm, almost somewhat being what's the word? Stubborn. There is a time to be stubborn. So part ones, if you enjoyed that reading, please do remember to like, comment and subscribe. Check out the If You Pause website, ifyoupause.com. It was a pleasure doing this reading for you, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Take care. Beneath. Part 2 is what's beneath. There's a subtle sound, which I don't know what it is. It might be a vehicle, and I'm not sure if the audio is picking up on it. But it almost sounds like rain. And I know it's not rain because I can see outside. But that might be something for you. Pile number 2's. I was kind of getting a vibration here. Part 2's of like, Spirit was kind of giving me these little stories. And it was like, there's certain things that you can do with certain people. This might relate to you. Beneath. I think it was like, I think this is maybe kind of getting at understanding people, possibly. That's your beneath. So like, what's people's intentions? It's kind of getting that energy. Because I was kind of getting these vibes, right, of there's certain things that you can do, what I've come to realize in life, maybe too late, but there's certain things that you can do which distills people, right? It's, let's see if we're in frame. Sorry, part two's, it's a bit wonky there today, but beautiful image. Listen to the church bells. Yeah, there's certain things that you can do which makes you Actually, let me just pause. Let me pause and let the bells go. Alright, someone might need to timestamp that for me. That went on way longer than I was expecting, y'all. But I don't know, like, I feel like if I was on the receiving end of this video, listening, I would be tested. It depends though, it depends on my mood, you know? Like, I can understand why that would frustrate someone watching a video because time is precious. But it's like, were you able to utilize your time? That's the thing. It's funny because in moments sometimes when it feels like someone is wasting your time, there's a perfect opportunity to utilize your time. It's a little bit like when someone daydreams when someone's chatting shit to them. That daydreaming process is usually that they're thinking of something more interesting than that person is saying. When you think about it, isn't it? And when someone starts to wander off, it's because they have imagined something that's more interesting than the really uninteresting thing coming out of someone else's mouth. So I just wonder how you were tested in that moment, Paltus, where your mind was, if you kind of just skipped ahead, how you felt. I think nails a lesson in that itself. But really, what this message was about was understanding people. Let me just touch this up. Understanding like the beneath of people. And what I've come to realize in life, there's really is certain tests that you can do, certain actions you can do, which basically weed out the people who are with you and who aren't. And sometimes it's a really difficult thing to process because, well, for one, like sometimes the truth hurts. The truth hurts. So it's like a good example is of a business. You could even say, if you pause, even though I don't really class it as a full-fledged business, even though at least not yet. But there really is a difference between someone buying your service, donating to you, supporting your channel, and someone who says that they support you. So I'm trying to make this external from myself here. So put it actually not onto a random person, put it onto yourself. Let's say pile number 2's, you have your own business. You really do have to distinguish the difference between someone who cares about what you're doing so much that they actually pay for your service, and someone who says, yeah, you're great, you know. And there is, don't get me wrong, that so money talks, but it doesn't always talk, because there's different ways that people can purchase from you. For example, if you was to purchase a kebab right now, or whatever your guilty fast food is, a burger, you're not necessarily buying that kebab or that burger because you really wholeheartedly believe in the team who made that burger. Do you know what I mean? It's because you wanted the fucking burger. It's not because you're really rooting for, you know, the ethics and the morality of how that burger was made. Sometimes you are, depending on the restaurant. But generally for a fast food place, especially somewhere like McDonald's, you're not really actually supporting them. You actually just really want the commodity they offer, sorry. So do you understand? There's these kind of nuances. There's these, maybe not nuances is the wrong word, but there's these, it's like a rabbit hole that keeps on going deeper. But generally, there are some basics to it. And when you can understand these basics between people, between human behavior, life becomes much easier, because you see life for what it is opposed to what you want it to be. And I understand, like, there's maybe someone out there watching this, or who reads some of my quotes sometimes, or who speaks to me in person sometimes and goes, is this guy just a bit pessimistic about life? And I'd say no, I'm the opposite. I'm one of the happiest people who you would meet, because I hold that happiness internally. I'm content. I've understood in my life what makes me happy. And I've understood that it's actually very different to what makes other people happy. So in the same way that you can walk down the road and you can go, oh my gosh, what is that person wearing? And go, oh my gosh, I wouldn't wear that. In that split moment, you haven't realized that that person is really happy to wear that. That's why they're wearing it. but your judgment of why they would wear that overcomes the actual happiness of them wearing it. We're stupid like that as humans, including myself. We live in a world where most people say, are you a judging person? They would say, no, I'm not. But the same person, when they have the information at least, strives for things like discernment. If you look up what discernment means in the Bible or in, the dictionary, it's basically the ability to judge. You need discernment, y'all. You do it every day. You judge every day. From going to a job interview and going, do I like this person? Do I want this job? Do I like this office? Do I like this environment? To love? Is this person making me happy? Oh, this person is making me happy. That's still judging. You're still making an opinion. But what people do is they associate the word judging with negatively judging someone, or basically that old saying of judging a book by its cover. But even that to an extent, this is what I mean, y'all. We all judge a book by its cover too. God damn it. For you guys in America, that's why Obama was a black president and not just a president. Think about it. If he didn't judge, why the fuck is he a black president? When Biden was elected, did everyone go, hey, we've got a white president? No. People judge on race every day. At the moment that you say someone's of a certain colour, it's not even that when we say someone's of a certain colour, it's that generally white people have the default. Have you noticed that? They're just human. And then everyone else is like a yellow human, a black human, a brown human. They're just humans. They only turn into white humans when there's a comparison. Anyway. Oh, fuck, this is good. So, we're talking about here, and there's a beauty to this illustration as well, because what I'm getting from this, to be honest, it's a little bit like, if you picked up on it, it's a little bit like one side of the if you pause symbol, which I think is really cool too. But there's also a sense of, there's a directness here, pile twos. There's I know I was laughing my ass off with those analogies, but I hope it hit home too, when I'm making those jokes, or when I'm making these kind of jokes, it's not to laugh at anyone, It's definitely not a dig at white people, black people, or anything like that. It's just like, sometimes there is just truth though, isn't it? And this is kind of what I'm trying to convey to you. What I'm seeing here is that it's very direct. I dare say it's like the masculine energy, but it's, I'm making these jokes, but it's true though, isn't it? Like, if you go outside today, pile number twos, and you see a homeless person, most people will say things to you like, let's say if you're single, pile twos, and most people will say, oh yeah, actually, I care about someone's personality. I care about that the most. And then you could walk outside, see a homeless man who's really, really great, or a homeless woman who's really, really nice. and there is no part in your body which is saying, I'm going to date this person. Again, it's like, it's the mic drop, it's the penny drop. It's like, I'm sure there is maybe a minus, or not minus, but like a 0.2% of people who are going to date that homeless person. Like, who smells, who's unshaven, who's unclean, who's missing teeth, whose hair's messed up, whose clothes are grubby. And again, it's no shade on homeless people, but there's a vicious, raw side of humans which say one thing and act in a completely different way, you know? And I was just going to say that there's maybe a 0.2% of people who actually would give that person a chance, but it's damn sure is not the majority. And we live in a world which is full of lies and illusions, where people are saying certain things and acting in a completely different way. They're seeing that homeless person and they're saying, no, I don't judge that person for being homeless. And judging is exactly what they're doing. It's exactly what they're doing. It's like, yeah, I'm not judging them, up until the point where I wouldn't have that person in my home though. No, I'm not judging them, but I don't want to be their friend though. No, I'm not judging them, but I'm not going to talk to them for longer than 5 minutes though. Do you see? Again, it's like, and I'm not trying to cut people here, but it is that energy. It is a sword's energy. And I think if this is something that you've come to discover, Pile Twos, like, you could be listening to this and you could just be thinking, fucking hell, Zed is just killing it today. He is just on the ball. He's on the bullseye with it. He's speaking truth. Or you might be, sitting there watching this curled up like, gosh, this is uncomfortable to hear. It doesn't really matter what side you're on there. You may be completely aligned with what I'm saying, or this is the thing that is starting to, I'm almost getting the energy here of bubbling up as well. This might be the certain thing that is bubbling up for you. You're starting to accept these truths. I think some of these truths also come with age, wisdom, maturity, experience. It also comes with like certain stages of life. Like, I feel like as humans, we assert boundaries at different times in our lives with different people in our life. Like, one thing for me as well that I struggled with is people would always assume that I've got really good boundaries. Outside of my family, people would think that, because I have. But like, my chink in the armor was with my loved ones, with my family. Like, my boundaries would just turn to mush. Like, and as soon as my siblings started having nieces and nephews, my boundaries would turn to mush even more. So that's just me being a bit vulnerable with my story too. It's like, I'm very good with boundaries with people, but when it comes to my closest, I very easily turned into a doormat. And it wasn't that my family didn't see me as strong, it's that they just saw me as capable. Because I always, I was always there. I was always there for them. And I realized, the older I got, that wasn't healthy. And that was in many ways pouring into my interactions with everyday people too, because there's an inconsistency there. There's an inconsistency. I think it's always good to kind of have separations in how you act with different people. A simple example of that might be the way that you speak to your friends is different to how you may speak to your clients. But sometimes it's wise to have, some core things that stay. Otherwise, you just turn into this fragmented human, which isn't a good thing. So, pile number 2's. I hope that you've got something from this. If I was to give you a summary, it would be you're uncovering the truth. The truth would be under here, or at the bottom of this hole. And it's the truth of people. That's what lays beneath for you, is you're uncovering the truth of people. And I don't know, this would be a lovely one to have a conversation with you all, to see what your truth is about people, because I'd love to hear someone else's opinion on those harsh truths of people. Not the kiddie version, not the delusion version, not the kumbaya version, not the happy ending version, just the real raw version. And I'm not saying that life isn't full of happy, peaceful, pure, blissful moments, because damn sure it is. We all live for them. But then there's the other side of the blade, which is more uncomfortable for people. It's a little bit too sharp for people. But you need to be understanding of it, because it's there. Alright, pile 2's, if you enjoyed the reading, please do remember to like, comment and subscribe. Check out the If You Pause website, ifyoupause.com. And thank you for being here. Take care. Okay, pile 3's. It's been quite a long reading today, actually. Just going to sit on the energy here. See what we've got. Got an interesting... I just opened this pen up yesterday, so I'm going to be pissed off if it's starting to run out already. Can you maybe relate to that? Pile 3's. Just kind of, you just kind of replenish something, and it's showing signs of depletion already. God damn, there's something in there, isn't there? You've just replenished something, and it's showing signs of depletion already. It's like just going on holiday, and you come back. As soon as you're back in that environment, you feel exhausted again. That's there's something in that, isn't there? I think we've all been there. Sorry for the shaking of the camera and obviously any background noise there. Yeah, this pen is really actually giving up on me. Can't believe it. Maybe it just needs a rest. So many metaphors just in that, isn't there? Love it. Love it. Okay, what's beneath? Pile number 3's. I wouldn't advise checking out the other readings, but there's a uniqueness to this one, which I want to highlight and let you understand. Is that we've been, with this reading, we've been exploring this idea of digging for something, digging of value, digging for a meaning, digging for whatever the metaphor or wisdom that's coming through here. And with your one, I find there's a really beautiful clue to this reading, which is the hole that is dug here is actually not below surface level. The hole that is dug is not below ground level or surface level. The other readings have gone deeper into the ground, and yours is actually, you've almost dug a mount, you've dug a hill, and that hill has become 2 hills. Ooh, something in that too, isn't there? Yeah, got some confirmation there from the horn outside. My gosh, there's too many gems in this one. I think the one that was just sticking out is when I was saying that like spirit just kind of gave me that, which is you've almost like divided it, so it's something beneath. You have turned, it's quite interesting here because it's about digging usually in this reading. And I feel like, yeah, of course you've dug because this was one hill, one mount before, and now it's 2. But I feel like this is more of the energy of you've divided the energy, and what I'm getting the feeling of with this reading is that you've divided it in order to make it more manageable. You've divided it in order to make it more efficient. It's like, it's also given me the vision of creating a new path. It's not quite Moses and the waves, but it kind of is in a weird way. It's like you've created a new route. So let's, for example, say that this mountain actually represented, which in many ways it does, it's a challenge, isn't it? It's just pouring out of me today. The wisdom is just pouring out of me today. It's like the mountain is the challenge. It's like we climb up mountains, don't we? It's the challenging thing. And it's like you've seen this challenge and it's a little bit too big in its full form. So not only have you crafted a new, easier route for people to go through this mountain, if you like, but you've also divided that mountain into something which is easier to digest, i.e., if you was to climb these 2 mountains now, there'd be easier climbs because it's not one big mountain anymore. And don't get me wrong, I think in life sometimes there's a time for one big mountain that you have to climb, but in other times there's smaller mountains that need to be climbed in order to train you for that big mountain. And it's quite interesting here because also what I see is like, let's say if this was a relationship, I'm getting this, I don't know why this is coming through, but I'm almost getting a person standing at the top of this mountain and the top of this mountain, and they're somehow communicating with each other because they're both at the top of this mountain. So there's slightly a little bit of a love reading in here because it's like these mountains are pretty much of like equal level. They're equal height, you could say. And it's like through climbing that mountain, you're able to see the other person at eye level again. It's like being level. It's that there's a sense of level running through this reading too. So does that make sense? It's like, for example, let's say if these two characters, one here and one here, begin to climb this mountain, they're beginning to climb this mountain, they're not going to see each other. They don't know each other is there. But when they get to that point, it's like they're shouting at each other saying, hey, oh, hey, how you doing? Like, because they're on the same level now. The journey was very similar. It was a different mountain, but a similar journey. And it wasn't till they were able to get to the peak of that they saw each other. And you know, I'm not really a huge believer of like power couples. I think they're way, 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 way rarer than people like to believe. You know, like I think I might have talked about, I don't know why Obama came through, I think twice in this reading now, but I can't remember, with the Obama couple, Barack Obama? I can't remember the wife's name. But yeah, let's use them for example. I would say that the way that they work is way rarer. I think what most people are trying to do is imitate that, but it's a rare thing. It's like a Michael Jackson. It's like we all want to call ourselves musicians to an extent. Well, there's a part of us which would love to be a musician, right? Even if it's a tiny percent of us, you know, a tiny bit of us, sorry. There's a part of us that wonders, doesn't it? That's why we appreciate musicians, because there's a part of us that we love in them. But the Michael Jacksons, they're rare. Hate him or love him, by the way. They're rare. And I think that's what it's similar to the power couples that we see, is that this situation is rare, that someone's climbing here and someone's climbing here and they meet here. And then they go on together and climb that big mountain together. It's rare because there's many reasons why it's rare, because some people don't even want to climb the mountain at all. Some people watch someone climb the mountain, they get to the top and they're at the bottom and they say, oh, well done. Can I come join you at the big mountain? Sometimes people climb the mountain and get injured. Sometimes people lose motivation and start walking back down the hill. I'm not saying these to be, again, like a pessimist. I'm just saying that's life. That really does happen, because you only have to look around you to realise that, you know. Some people are more better at climbing mountains than other people. Again, it's like, I know I'm cutting today. Sorry, part 3's. Part 2's got it even harsher, but like, it's like, but you know, it's true though. You know, the person with a disability doesn't have the same ability to climb that mountain as the person without a disability, and whatever that disability might be, health condition with the leg or the foot, asthmatic, you know. So what I'm trying to say here is that there is a beauty in this reading. There's almost a a romance side of this reading, which is we could be talking about here your beneath, your hidden thing, which you're coming into, is realizing how unique that is when you do meet someone somewhat on your level, romantically. And then if that is not really your reading, there is definitely something here to do with Power Threes, that you're kind of leading the way for people. Like I said, there's that Moses energy there. It's like you're able to take a large topic of whatever kind and distill it down into manageable bites for people. And like I said, if this does relate to the romance side, if you're really connecting to that, if you feel like that's coming into your life, it's also that the other person's kind of able to do that too, because like I said, they've had a similar journey to you. So if the romance side relates to what I'm saying here, run with it. And if it doesn't, just know that you're kind of doing this solo. You know, there's no good or bad way. It's just this reading kind of almost breaks into two, romance and within self too. So pile number 3s, I'm going to leave it there. Beautiful reading. If you enjoyed it, please do remember to like, comment and subscribe. Check out the If You Pause website. If you haven't checked out the If You Pause website already, you're crazy. Don't know what's wrong with you. Got some awesome videos on there. Got some crazy wisdom on there. Got a little manifestation course on there which explains basically how to climb this motherfucking mountain. It's done more in a storytelling kind of way, but if you haven't purchased that, you're mad. If you're kind of a driven person / spiritual person, but yeah, have a little look, see if it's your cup of tea. If not, I look forward to seeing you in the next reading. Take care, Pathways.